Okay, hello. Today I'm going to try not to hit my hand on the mic so much. Oops. Today I'm going to talk about the top 9 macaron mistakes. If you are still having macaron problems, go to the Michelle's Macarons Facebook group, and there's like 4,000 people in there now that all are making macarons, helping each other, and that is where I see what a lot of the mistakes are. So I'm going to talk about those. All right, number 9. I'm going to count it down. Number 9, not sifting the almond flour and powdered sugar mixture before you put it into the meringue. So I recommend sifting the dry ingredients 3 times. A lot of people don't want to do that, and they just want to maybe put it in the food processor, then sift it once. But I get stuff like clumps every time. So the first time, the second time, and the third time, I get clumps. So I really think it's important to sift it 3 times with a fine mesh sieve. Now, you can put it in a food processor. I see a lot of people do that. But then you have to make sure you're not putting it in the food processor for too long, because then the almond flour will start to get oily if it's like blended too long. So that's why I just like to sift it 3 times. Mistake number 8, not resting the macarons long enough before you put them into the oven. If you're using the recipe that I used from this video, I have to rest them. I think I've seen some people in the Facebook group say that they can make them without resting. I don't know if they live in a really dry climate or what, but in Ohio, I absolutely have to rest them. Or they get those volcano tops and they crack, or they will be slanted. So make sure you rest them long enough, especially if you're in a humid climate. You really need patience when you're making these. So that's where a lot of things can go wrong when you're making these. If you don't have enough patience and you're trying to rush it, these will not be rushed. The 7th mistake, underbaking. So I see a lot of overbaking, but I see more underbaking. Overbaking is kind of a problem that can be corrected after maturing sometimes, but underbaking, then you get them sticking to the tray. Sometimes they are like sunken in the middle and they're just really weak. So don't be scared to bake them a little longer than you think they would need right at first. And of course, make sure they cool completely before you take them off the tray. But I would veer on the side of overbaking when you're first making them, because the underbaking can cause problems that look like other problems. Okay, so underbaking is a big problem. And that can happen even if you think your oven is at a certain temperature. It might not be. So make sure you have an oven thermometer. Get an oven thermometer. Even if it's a brand new oven, get an oven thermometer. Every oven I've ever had has been off. Or maybe my oven thermometer's off. No, I'm just kidding. They've all been different oven thermometers. So lean towards the side of overbaking when you're first starting, because that's kind of an easy problem to fix, and it doesn't look like other problems. If you're learning something from this video, let me know by hitting the like button below. The 6th macaron mistake I see a lot is too much food coloring. So chill with the food coloring when you're first starting out. I wouldn't put any in until you've really got your macarons down. So leave out the food coloring until every other problem is fixed. Then you can add in a little bit. You definitely should not be messing with dark colors before you have your shell recipe down. The 5th macaron mistake is underfolding. So if you have bumps on the top of your macarons or like a peak, that is underfolding. And if it's bumpy, if you've already sifted your almond flour, like I said 3 times, then I would look at your batter and make sure you're not underfolding it. Make sure you're folding it enough. Don't fold it too much either, but that doesn't seem to be a problem as much as underfolding. You've got a macaron that's just way too tall and a little too much definition on the top. The peak and the bumps, that's the underfolding. So watch for that at first. I think a lot of people are scared when they first start out. Either they're not cautious at all and they overfold like crazy and they act like it's cake or something, or they're too scared to fold because they've heard don't overfold it and it's underfolded. So don't be scared to fold it, but that is also an easy fix that if you're just starting out, I would lean towards underfolding, just because that is also a problem that is pretty identifiable, because overfolding looks like a lot of other things. The fourth macaron mistake is changing too many things. Do not go into your baking adventure next time and change everything I just said to change. Do exactly what you did last time, except change one of these things. Okay, because you have to be able to tell where you went wrong, or else how will you know? Okay, so stick with one recipe and change one thing at a time and make everything exactly the same. Fold it, count how many times you fold, time everything exactly. I sound like a crazy person, but if you want them to be right, you only have to be a crazy person like until you get them down. Then you will have the right times and you just have to stick by those times. But time everything, count how many times you fold, do everything exactly the same, and then change one thing every time. Stick with the same recipe. I mean, I am biased. I like this one, but stick with the same recipe, do everything the exact same thing every time, and then change one thing. But this recipe, you can cut it in half, and I'm pretty sure I see people in the Facebook group quarter it, which I'm not 100% sure about. You'll have to go in the Facebook group and double check, but because I don't know if my mixer would get the bottom, but you can cut it in thirds, and so you don't waste. But just everything the same. If you like these videos and you want to see more, hit the subscribe button below and the bell next to it, and you will be notified whenever I come out with a new video. The third macaron mistake is letting the batter sit. So if you're using the French recipe, I don't recommend letting that sit at all. I pipe that as quick as I can. Like once you fold it and made it ribbon down like you want it and you've got the batter, put that into the piping bag and pipe as fast as you can and get those out drying. You really don't want to be letting that batter sit any longer than you have to. That is something I noticed that if I let the batter sit too long, I get sunken shells. So that can be from a couple of different things, but for me, because I time everything and do everything the exact same, it's if I let the batter sit too long, I know I'll get like a sunken top. All right, so don't let that batter sit, especially if you're doing the French method. The second macaron mistake is underwhipping the meringue. So when you first start out, don't be scared to overwhip the meringue. There's like 4,000 people in that Facebook group. Out of all the pictures I've seen, I don't think I've ever said you've overwhipped your meringue. It is very hard to overwhip your meringue. So if you do, it will be just dull and small clumps and have more of a broken look. You want it to be clumped up in the whisk attachment. You want it to be a clump. Okay, it's not marshmallow fluff. It definitely doesn't look like marshmallow fluff. It is like a clump that you will hit the whisk on the side of the bowl to get it to come out. So don't worry about overwhipping your meringue. I don't think I've seen it yet in the Facebook group. So that's not something I would worry about. And that's a big problem I see in the group. A lot of the shells have underwhipped meringue. So it seems like people are just scared to overwhip it because everything we've been taught about whipping, like whipped cream, meringue, usually you have to stop very soon, but these can handle it. Okay, so don't be scared about that, especially when you're first starting. I don't remember the last time I saw overwhipped meringue. And like I mentioned in this video, think about it like this. You need that air to get the shell to rise up. If you don't, there's no baking powder, baking soda, or anything in these cookies. So the meringue, the air you're whipping into the meringue is what is giving these shells that lift. So you need to be whipping that air in there. The number one mistake I see with macarons is not letting them mature, not trusting the process, okay? People are cracking them open right out of the oven and they are saying they're hollow and then they're throwing away batches. So go watch this video if you think your macarons are hollow. It is very likely that they are not hollow and they just need to be filled and put in the fridge for 8 to 24 hours, preferably 24 hours, and matured, okay? Trust me. I know you probably don't know me, but just freaking trust me. Go in the Facebook group and ask them. There's a lot of people in there that will tell you as well. Mature them. You don't even need to break open the shell until you've filled it, put it in the fridge, let it mature for, I would do 24 hours, and then let them get to room temperature, and then try to break one open. I show an example in that video about one that hasn't been matured and one that has, okay? You just really have to trust that they will turn out. All right, and if you want to sell your macarons or any other baked goods, join the email list below and I will send you information about how you can join the Home Bakery Blueprint course and work with me to grow your home bakery business. Oh yeah, I was going to do this. Comment below with your Instagram handle so everyone can follow each other. I want to start doing that. Just put your Instagram handle or Facebook, but just specify which one it is. If it's Instagram, say Instagram and then at whatever. And so we can follow each other. Won't that be fun? You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram here. Check out these other macaron videos. Okay, love you, bye. Get an oven thermometer. Bye.